I've redeemed over 1.4 million points and miles over the last 3 years on trips to Disney World, Disneyland, Italy, and much more. And today I'm going to break down exactly how I track my earnings and redemptions using YNAB. Now, YNAB, or You Need a Budget, is a budgeting tool that I've used for over 10 years just for day-to-day spending, but I've also found a way to utilize it for the points and miles game. Once you start expanding how many cards you have and how many point systems you're a part of, keeping track of all of that is essential so you never have to question how many points you have when you get that idea for your next big redemption. Now, here we are on the home screen of YNAB. On the left-hand side here, you can see all of my accounts and their current values, while the middle section I have broken down to redemptions per year. At the top, you can see I currently have just under 500,000 points ready to assign or redeem for travel. Clicking into one of the accounts, let's go with Amex membership rewards points here, you'll see a list of transactions that go back to 2022, which basically lines up when I really started optimizing for points and miles. Now let's focus over here to the right. You'll see your inflows and outflows. Starting with inflows, these are going to be the points that you've earned either through spend on the cards, sign-up bonuses, or even here in the middle, you can see I earned a retention offer or a bonus for enabling a feature, and I'm using the memo field to note that. Now notice the dates. This isn't something I'm tracking all the time or dedicating a lot to. I'll typically come in and update it every couple of months or so, and I found that's good enough for keeping up. Basically, I'll log into my Amex account to pay the card or whatever, grab my rewards total, then come over to YNAB and enter it. For this, I found that an easy way to update your balance is using the Reconcile feature, actually. Let's say you come in 2 months since your last update. Rather than doing the math of exactly how many points you've earned since that last entry, just click Reconcile, click No, and enter the current points balance from your account. So let's say as of today, my total is really 25,000 points instead of the 20,900. You click Next, create the adjustment, and bam, total's updated. Now at this point, this is a bit extra, but just for cleanup, I'll come in and change the payee to the card or cards that earn me the points and get rid of the auto-generated memo, but that's really just personal preference. Outflows are going to be how you are actually tracking the redemptions. You can see my most recent one is a transfer out to British Airways for a Japan trip we're taking next year, as noted in the memo, for a total of 119,000 points. There's some other outflows to Hilton and Marriott, and then at the bottom I have 2 outflows of around 40,000 points that were transfers out to my Flying Blue account for business flights to Italy a few years ago. All right, let's look at a hotel account now, Hilton Honors. I'm a big Hilton fan. You can see from the payee field, I have both the Surpass and Aspire cards from Amex. Again, you'll see a list of all the transactions, a mix of inflows and outflows. And also here, you'll see redemptions in the categories instead of transfers out like from my Amex account. So same thing here. I come in and update the total balance every few months or so. And then when I have a redemption, I go ahead and categorize it to that trip. This is where tracking in YNAB goes that extra step further. In the memo field, I'll include the number of nights for that stay, the price for that room if I were to have booked it in cash, and then a quick cent per point valuation. So for Cabo, this was one of mine and my wife's favorite redemptions. The Waldorf Astoria Los Cabos Pedregal in Cabo is an amazing resort, and for when we went in June of 2024, for a 3-night stay, the total price after resort fees and all that was $5,400. So you can see I redeemed 360,000 Hilton points, 80,000 of which I transferred from my Amex account, and that came to a 1.5 cent per point redemption, which is actually really good for Hilton. Then at the end there, just a note about a room upgrade that we received for being Diamond members through the Aspire card, and I think it's just a nice way to remember some of those things that happen when you look back at the trips. Another example here is a Hilton in Breckenridge from earlier this year, but a bit different. We had a 4-night stay, 2 of which are from free night credits, or awards as Hilton calls them, and the other 2 nights are points redemptions. So again, here in the memo, showing the cash price and cent per point. For hotel cards and programs, another way I like to track things here, you can see I'll enter a line with an inflow value of 0 for when I earn a free night credit. And what I found works is using the label option over here on the left. I'll add a green label if I've earned it and it's ready to use. Then when I redeem it, just clear out the label. So for this one, I earned a free night from spending $15,000 on the Surpass card, and I'm actually waiting on my other free night from the Aspire card to post, and then both of those are going towards our Japan trip next summer. Here's just another hotel example with some other redemptions. Hyatt is a fantastic use of Chase points, and you can see some examples of the transfers from my Chase account here. So again, just think through the workflow, right? You have your Hyatt points, and you have your Chase points, which are being tracked separately in the Chase account. Then, when you want to book on Hyatt, if you are short on points, you complete the transfer between accounts, and then you record the transaction here in YNAB. So to kind of walk through how it would have looked, let's select these couple of entries here, and you can see my total points account for Hyatt was a little over 16,000 at that time. Now you can see on this line here, I completed a transfer from Chase of 5,000 points, which put me over 21,000, which meant then I had enough points to complete the 19,000 point redemption. Another quick call out here is using the label option for free nights, just like I did in my Hilton account, but for this one, you can see I had earned 5 free nights on the sign-up bonus for the World of Hyatt card, and I've used 3 of them, which you can see here in the Chicago redemption. So I decided to put a yellow label here just to indicate I still have some more free nights to spend. Okay, so the other accounts are more or less the same, so let's actually walk through assigning your points to a trip and completing a redemption. Again, here at the top, across all of my accounts, we have right over 499,000 points. Now, 247,000 of those are Hilton, and that's exactly what we're going to focus on here. So for Japan 2026, you see for this month, I've already assigned and redeemed 19,000 points, which was that 2-night Hyatt stay I showed earlier. Now, if I know I want to clear out my Hilton points on this trip, I come in here and I add the 247,375 points to the assigned field. Go ahead and enter that, and you'll see the available points for this Japan trip has increased, and our ready to assign points has decreased. Now remember, at this point, nothing has actually happened on the account side. This is more so planning ahead. So now let's execute. Come over into Hilton and add a new transaction. Payee, I'll go with Hilton. You can put the specific hotel if you want. The category is going to be that Japan 2026 trip, and you see in green there the points balance available for that specific trip. Memo, let's go with it's a 3-night stay, cash price was $3,000, and it came to 1 cent per point. The points needed were actually only 245,000. Here you can clear the transaction. This is more useful on the regular budget side when you have pending transactions in your bank or card, but still click that and save. Now instantly you see in my Hilton account we're down to right over 2,000 points. And back to home screen, and it lines up, right? You can see the activity or the outflows has that 245,000 included, and if you click on it, you can see the transaction or redemption. Okay, let's go ahead and do another one with a couple of extra steps. For me, again, I set this up with a category group for each year's redemptions and then the individual trips within that category. So let's create a new trip here for 2026, going to Disney World, which if you couldn't tell from the channel name or the list of other Disney trip redemptions, we're a huge Disney family. I do have some Disney trip cost breakdown videos coming up if that's something you're interested in. Back to the redemption though, here's the new category, and let's assign some points. So total, we have 251,000 available. I'm thinking I just want to cover some of our flights, so I'll take a quick peek over to the left and see my wife has around 17,000 Southwest points. For Chase points, which transfers to Southwest, we have a combined 119,000 points. Let's say I've gone and found a redemption over on Southwest for 30,000 points. Come over here to the assign field for the trip and type in 30,000. Now this is really personal preference, right? You could have already completed this booking and come to YNAB after for record keeping, or you could do it ahead of time just to see what your points would look like after you're done. I kind of do it both ways, it just depends. So to start, we had to move Chase points to Southwest, so let's go to Chase, add a new transaction, and again, this is actually transferring points to my wife's account, so select transfer to Southwest wife. When you do a transfer, there's no category needed since it's just moving points, right? I've covered how I use memos, so just quickly type in for Disney 2026, and then we only needed to move 13,000 to combine with my wife's points to have enough to book. Go ahead and save, and see that the 13,000 points is removed from the total balance here on Chase, but that my wife's Southwest balance is now over 30,000 as expected. This is showing it's completed. Now let's wrap it all up. Switch over to my wife's Southwest account, add new transaction. Let's go with Southwest Airlines. Now change the category to Disney 2026 since that's what this is for. Memo, again, I'll usually keep it consistent. Number of tickets, cash price, and cent per point. But for this example, we'll just leave that blank. Enter the 30,000 point outflow since that's how many points we used, and done. Now back to home and you'll see our Disney 2026 trip is fully spent. We assigned 30,000 points to use and we completed that redemption. Now for the fun part, seeing how it all comes together on the Reflect tab with all of YNAB's report options. And hopefully you'll see why I find breaking redemptions down by year the most beneficial way. To start, we have the spending breakdown with the nice pie chart from the thumbnail. This can be filtered down by time frame, but we'll go with all dates to show the most data, right? And here you can see that now we have 1.6 million points that have been spent or redeemed after our Japan redemption example. In this view, it's broken down per category or trip. So you can see that now that Japan trip is the highest redemption, followed by Cabo. And if you click on the section of the pie, you get the details. So Italy, this was 2 KLM business class redemptions. And then, yeah, we have Breckenridge, Disneyland, and more. For some of the smaller redemptions, you can hover over to see what it is, or see the full list here on the right. Switch this tab here to Groups, and this is where having the categories grouped by year comes into play. Now I can see at a quick glance how many points in total were redeemed each year. And then I kind of utilize that to estimate, on average, how many points do I need to try to earn annually to keep that up either through spend or sign-up bonuses. Same deal here, click on a section of the pie and it will break down to the trips in that year so you can dive in as much as you want. All right, spending trends. This is where you can get your breakdown per account and per month, which is really cool. Let's filter this to just last year, 2024. You can see in the bar chart when spend or redemptions happened across the year, and this is across all of my accounts, right? But let's say last year I want to see how many Chase points I used. Well, for me, it's going to be 0 because my main use of Chase points is transfers out to Hyatt or Southwest, and I track those separately, right? But if you don't want to get that in depth, your outflows would show here. So let's go ahead and pick those, and here we go. Total was around 73,000 from June and October trips. Now let's choose Capital One miles, and here we did have some redemptions, which was actually using the travel eraser on part of our Disney trip, which we'll do occasionally. So yeah, just another way to see how many points you've used per account. Moving along, net worth. But this will just show over time what your total point balances were. Here's where, if you follow my setup, you can see how your Chase or Amex point values have grown or decreased since it will factor in those transfers. Income versus expense is another breakdown. I would say I don't use this one too much, but if you were more diligent about updating your balances each and every month, it would be a great way to see on a monthly basis how many points you earn across everything, and then again when you make redemptions. That about does it. We've covered how I have all of my points accounts tracked here in YNAB, how I complete and track redemptions, and how I utilize reports to review those travel redemptions over time. If you have any questions about YNAB or points and miles in general, drop them in the comments. I'd also love to hear how you're currently tracking your redemptions. If you thought this video was helpful, please hit the like button so more people can find it, and subscribe to the channel for more points and miles breakdowns, trip cost reports, and upcoming credit card reviews. Thanks for watching, and talk to you real soon.